everyone. Today we are going to create a house using materials that we can collage, inspired by the art of Tyree Guyton. And he is famous for basically turning trash into art. He has a project called the Heidelberg Project, which is on Heidelberg Street in Detroit. And the area where he grew up was starting to kind of fall apart, and so he used art to basically make a change. And so he did a lot of work on the houses, and some of them the city tore down, some of them burned down, but there's quite a few that are still there today. This house is, I believe, the Dotty Waddy. But he would kind of come up with a theme for each of the houses for his art. So obviously the focus for this house was dots. He also had a house called the House of Soul that was covered in records, old music records. And he had a house that he covered in like stuffed toys as well. So he kind of comes up with a theme for his house. So we're gonna do that for our house today. Now, when you get started, you definitely need a glue bottle, a pair of scissors, and I'm using a black marker here. If you have a Sharpie, that's probably even better than a washable marker. I also recommend grabbing 2 pieces of plain paper, and it could just be notebook paper, copy paper, whatever. And if you don't have that, that's fine. You could use newspaper or whatever else, junk mail type papers, those are fine too. And then you're gonna wanna grab some stuff. It could be old packaging, you could use packaging. I actually used the cardboard here on this one for the house. Here's some junk mail here. This always has lots of good ideas. Old magazines or things that come are great too. A lot of times magazines are gonna have a theme, and since we're gonna be working with a theme to do this, those can be really helpful. And you know, a lot of times your sales papers also kind of have a theme. So this one looks like it's all about health and wellness. So there's a lot of vitamins and medicine and things like that in there. So you're gonna wanna get some of those things ready before you get started. And then you have to kind of decide on a theme before you go looking for stuff. So for this one, I was looking through a magazine and it had a bunch of chairs in it, pages and pages of chairs. So I decided to use chairs as the theme for this house. And you can see I used the backs of the chairs to try and make like a little fence here. I put a row of chairs sitting up on the roof. And then I did find, when I was looking at stuff, I found these little snowflakes in a newspaper, and so I actually cut those out and kind of added them on as well, so it looks like it's snowing. So you could do a color theme, so you could look for things that are all blue or all yellow. You could do a seasonal theme, like if you have an old magazine and it's from around the holidays, it probably has a lot of holiday stuff in it, like Valentine's stuff or pumpkins for Halloween, things like that. I found one of these kind of advertising things, and it had a bunch of candy in it. So I am actually going to do kind of a candy themed house for this one. So once you know what your theme is, you're going to have to go looking and finding the stuff that you need for that theme. Okay, so I've actually already done that. So I have all of this stuff over here. I've cut out all these little candy pieces I found. I took this from the Lucky Charms cereal box that my kids just finished eating. I thought maybe I could put the rainbow in there somewhere. And then I've got a couple more here that I haven't quite figured out, you know, what I might do, but they are candy themed. I thought I might be able to use this for the top of the house. And this says cookies on it, so I was thinking there might be a way to use that, but I'm not really sure yet. So once you've got some stuff ready to go for your theme, and you're going to want to kind of cut it out, and you can bubble cut. You can see on the chairs here, I didn't try and stay along the edges because that would have been really hard. You can kind of just cut out around it. But once you've kind of got all of that put together, then you're ready to build your house. So when you're building your house, you're going to want to start with the 2 kind of regular sheets of paper. Hopefully they're the same size. If not, you might want to make them the same size. And we're going to use one basically for the whole thing that we're going to build on. So it would essentially be the sky, and then one for the ground. So I'm just going to cut across this one here. I'm going to just do a straight edge. You could do a zigzag line if you wanted it to look more grassy. And you will have some extra there, so you could always use that for other parts as well. Now, when it comes to gluing, just a dot, not a lot. You just put some dots around the edge. If you want to draw a line, a thin line with the glue, that's fine too. But just a dot works pretty well. And then try your best to line up your edges. All right, so there's the ground. Now for the house, obviously the bigger you make it, the more you can kind of do with it. So try not to make it itty bitty, because then you really can't put much on it. You can always use the cardboard from the inside of a box, or, you know, if there's some sort of design on the front you want to use, you can do that. I like to use the inside of the box when I do this, mostly because when I am working on adding things on top, the design on the material for the house is not distracting me. So I'm just going to cut that open there. All right, so I'm going to draw kind of a nice big house shape, and it could be a square, it could be a rectangle. You could do it where it's like bigger on the bottom and then smaller on top. The shape of my house is kind of wide, and then I've got a second floor that's a little bit more shorter. So that's up to you. I'm just going to use my black marker. This actually might end up being too tall, but we'll see. All right, so I'm going to, oh, I forgot to draw the bottom line. All right, so I'm going to cut that out and add it to my picture. And I like to keep the black lines showing. I think that helps you to see it. But if you don't want to keep the black lines when you're cutting it out, that's fine too. Just remember, turn the material, don't turn the scissors. Try and keep the scissors facing the same direction, pointing away from you. All right, I think I'm done with that now. So, all right, so I'm gonna put that there. I think that gives me enough room for a roof. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and glue this down now. With cardboard, it's better to use a little extra glue. Make some big dots or some big lines, but you still only need it along the edge. You don't need to put any glue in the middle. Then I give it kind of a little wiggle, kind of help get it stuck down. All right, so now I want to think about the roof next, and I generally just use a triangle shape for the roof. I already told you I wanted to try and use that gingerbread house somehow as the roof. So I'm wondering if I can create a roof that kind of looks like that gingerbread house. I think I could use, I really could use either side. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and use this piece here. I kind of like that it has the window on it too. I'm gonna cut out this for my roof shape. Now, if you wanna draw the roof onto something, you can definitely do that. So for example, I could line up the material here, and then I could draw the roof before I cut it out. If that's gonna be helpful to you, you can definitely do that. All right, so let's see, I think I'm a little short here. I'm gonna straighten this out. All right, so that is gonna be my roof. It's a little crooked, but that's okay. So now I'm gonna add some dots of glue around that and glue it down. All right, next up, windows and doors. So I've got some things cut out already. I was thinking about using this big piece of chocolate for the door, and then I have these square chocolates that I was gonna use for the windows. And they just happen to work out pretty well. In my chair house over here, I ended up finding this striped kind of notebook looking piece of paper in a magazine, and I cut that out to make the window shapes, and then I just found kind of a plain blue sheet for the door, and I put the chair on it. So whatever works for your theme. The chocolates I think make the most sense for this theme. So I'm just gonna kind of cut these out to make the windows. All right, so however many windows you want, I'm not sure I want to use those two. Could be just a couple windows. You could put a couple on the bottom and the top. Could just be one window. You have to figure out what your house needs. All right, so then I will go ahead and glue these windows down. If you want to use the black marker to do kind of tie some things together, you can definitely add that sort of edge to things again. You can go and kind of trace around things. That's not something you have to do. Sometimes it helps depending on what kind of paper you're using. I thought it was really helpful on those windows there because they were a little bit harder to see. So you can add that line if you want, but again, these ones show up just fine, so you don't necessarily need to do that. All right, so now I'm ready to decorate. So I've got this kind of long strip here. I feel like I want to kind of cut these out as rows so that I can maybe decorate like the edges of my house, possibly. So I might cut these out just and keep them all as one row of paper rather than trying to cut out all those little circles. So I think maybe going across the house like that might look kind of neat. Looks like I'm gonna have to cut it right about there. I can even put a little bit above the door there if I wanted, or maybe add a chimney. Add a little chimney on, like that. I think I'll do another row of these all the way across the bottom too. Kind of like that. All right, kind of looks like a sidewalk. Ooh, maybe if I add another little piece onto the end, I can make a sidewalk go all the way across. So you're just kind of playing with the materials. You'll have to figure out what works for you. All right, so something like that there at the bottom. Let's see, I've got this big Hershey's bar, but I don't really know if I see a place I want to use it. So it may be that I just decide not to use it. I think these kind of look almost like an awning above a door with this M&M, so I think I'm going to put that there. And then I'm going to just kind of line up these little candy pieces I cut out and sort of line those up across the house. Try and get them to fit on there. So I'm adding all these different pieces, kind of filling in around my windows. Got a little Snickers bar there. Now once you have finished kind of organizing where you want things, you're going to want to go back and sort of add them, add a little dot of glue on to kind of get everything to stick. So when you do that, there we go. I usually just pick up one piece at a time, put a little dot of glue on the back, and then stick it back down, give it a little wiggle to get it to stick. Once that's finished, if you want to add something to the sky, maybe I go and look for a giant piece of chocolate to put in the sky. I could do that. Maybe it's raining little balls of chocolate. I still kind of want to figure out what to do with this rainbow, but I don't think I can use all of it. So, oops, those pieces just popped off. I could do something maybe where I kind of cut it down the middle. Figure out, oh, it looks like I might have to kind of tuck it behind there. But I could do something where it's kind of coming out from behind the house like that. Or the other thing I could do is sort of put it going across the corner up here. And then I would just kind of line it up on the paper. So if I decided to do it like this, then I would just kind of line it up on the paper and then draw those edges so I know where to cut. And then cut on those lines that I made. And then I can glue that on sort of in the corner. So I've got a little rainbow there in the corner. All right, so then once everything's glued down, you're finished. I hope you have fun. Enjoy.